very early in my career teaching animation in 2002, 2001. And I started using the direct principles of animation from The Illusion of Life, page 41. And it was always confusing to me because it wasn't easy to remember what, squash and stretch, okay, overlapping action. But the idea that timing is really easy to understand, but very difficult to pull off, just always intrigued me. It always intrigued me just because I think that was Damien coming in, wasn't it? Yeah. Because when I was learning animation, one of the things that my mentors, my teachers, just completely avoided was this. They didn't put this out there. They didn't say, "Oh, here's the principles, let's talk about them." Instead, because I was working at Colossal Pictures and Wild Brain, it's like, just do this. Here's the shot, just do it. And half the time I got it wrong 10 times in a row before anyone got a chance to look at it, or the director. But by the time I got to be teaching it, I thought it would be, very interesting to, and very helpful to you to arrange the principles in terms of movement. So that was my first thing. Remember that I have movement like listed right here. And I did this thing in my storyboard class where I talk about animation and story and characters and cinema and art. It's like the 5 main components of storyboarding. I'm running a storyboarding class for autumn semester. Always in each one of those 5 categories for storyboarding: art, animation, drawing, characters, cinema, I always include style. And in here, I put style as part of the art category under the principles of animation. And I think that what I was trying to avoid doing was putting the word style everywhere, because I think that what we have here is exaggeration pulled out of the main list and given its own little space. And I think that I should have mentioned this on day 1, that a lot of the principles of animation can be exaggerated. Almost all of them can be exaggerated. Squash and stretch can be extremely cartoony, or it can be very realistic. Timing can be exaggerated so that it's very cartoony, or not exaggerated at all. And that's just like the movement part of it. The story can be exaggerated. The story can be all about style. And so I just wanted to remember you that looking at this particular document, that each one of these things remember that I had told you that the exaggeration can be applied to each one of these categories, and therefore the style can be applied to each one of those categories as well. I think I just wanted to do a couple of things, and hopefully that you've picked up on it, and I know that a lot of you have picked up on this just as we've gone over the particular critiques in the last couple of weeks about pacing. And I think that when I was finishing class last week with you and just kind of replaying the things that we had talked about in that particular critique or series of critiques, one of the things that just kind of like reminded me about just the approach to how you think about timing and pacing is that was like the first thing I learned. That was the first thing that Charlie Campfield, Dan McHale, Phil Robinson, that was the first thing that they told me about the animation, because they were showing me camera sheets. They were showing me how to get things moving, and just the idea that action should be broken up and you should have a variety of fast-paced actions that are juxtapositioned with slower paced actions. And that always helps to read. It always helps to get everything to read correctly as far as you, the animator, want it to be. And hopefully I've impressed that upon you, is the idea of pacing. I don't think I put pacing in here, but I think that all of this, inside the movement and dynamics areas. Oh, I put pacing right here, timing, number one. Yeah, I think that I didn't want to give it its own line, its own bullet point, just because you can't have pacing without timing. All right, so that was the thing that I wanted to mention, is that now that we are on our last day of class here, just remember that when you're looking at the word style within art, that it can be applied everywhere, as well as the exaggeration that can be applied everywhere. So I have two more notes that I wanted to go over, and that is that as an instructor, I've learned over the years that the best way for you to learn animation is just by trial and error. Yeah, you have all the things that I've put a demo under, or I've given you a demonstration. I've shown you how to do this, or here's one way to do it, here's another way to do it. And in my mind's eye, the best way to learn anything in animation is just to do it, whether you get it wrong or not. And hopefully you do get it wrong. I think that I've said that before. It's that you learn so much by trying it and it's just not quite working, or you plan it out, you get the arcs working, get the walk cycle working, and something's just not right. And you think about it and you think about it, and then it's not like you wake up in a cold sweat at 3 in the morning, but the third or the fourth time that you've tried it, it's like, oh, okay, I know, I get it. Sometimes the light bulbs come on a little more slowly, if you know what I mean. So that idea of trial and error is a little bit more efficient in the digital world. If you're just working in Harmony or Toon Boom, or if even Flash, for God's sake, or a rough animator, whatever it is, it's digital. You're not wasting materials. You're only spending a little bit of time on that stuff. And that's good. I think that we played on that this whole semester long, because we didn't have to be punching paper and running traditional pencil tests. And I think that Paul might have even be convinced now that the best way to run this class is to just put it in a computer lab and just, and I think that that's counterintuitive to the way he and I both learned animation was on paper. Many schools across the world run their intro to 2D animation class on paper, because it reinforces that idea of drawing. You have solid drawing under art right here, and a three-dimensional quality. But I firmly believe, especially these days, that the efficiency of working digitally it's just transformed everything. I can only imagine that schools like San Jose State and University of Southern California, maybe even Cal Arts, is that they might be thinking about moving away from their 2D on paper aspect of their intro class. I think that it's important. I think that's it's astonishingly important, but it's not absolutely essential. There are animators at Pixar who don't really draw that well, but they animate really, really well. All right, so the next thing I wanted to say was just there in the whole idea of the motion dynamics, the movement. Remember that some animation is really easy to do. So some animation, like it's so limited. There's only 4 drawings per second or 3 drawings per second. You got to make sure those poses are drawn really well, but that animation, limited animation, can be really easy to do. Go back and watch like the Hanna-Barbera stuff from the late 60s and early 70s. It's technically one of the things that killed the golden age of animation was TV, because everything was being outsourced. The Hanna-Barbera was sending stuff to the Philippines. They had just started Phil Cartoons, and they were making animation for about somewhere between 8 and 11 cents on the dollar. and they were only using, instead of 24 drawings per second, they were probably only using 8. And whatever they could get away with if there was a held frame. Go back and watch the early Scooby-Doo stuff. That stuff can be really limited, and it's a little easier to do it if it's really limited. Again, just because it's limited doesn't mean the drawings suck. It's just that there's few of them per second. That means you just have to make sure that those drawings are done really well. And then on the other side of the coin is stop motion. Stop motion is the most difficult way to animate. You can't go back and fix a drawing. You can't go back and to Maya and fix a pose in the middle. If you get something wrong with any shot you're working on in stop motion, you have to redo the entire shot. And therefore, your stop motion animators are always the best animators. Always, always. And right now, we're trying to figure out what's going on with Leica. For many years, Leica had the collection of the best stop motion animators in the world. Aardman had a whole bunch of them. Shadow Machine, again in Portland, had a bunch of them. But right now we're still waiting to see what's going on with Leica. Travis took a break to do some live action movies, and the union tried to get in there and try to take over the animation wing of it because it was the biggest stop motion studio, and he was pissed and he closed the studio down a couple years ago. And just keep your antenna up for what's going on with Leica. Always Leica. And then the other thing that you may want to be aware of is that he's doing the Shadow Machine is deep into production, and I saw this last night for Pinocchio. So Pinocchio is being done by Guillermo del Toro at Shadow Machine, and Shadow Machine did BoJack Horseman. They did a whole bunch of other things. It's most recently being called Shadow Machine, but they did a whole bunch of other stuff. But look at the cast for Pinocchio, done by Guillermo del Toro, very dark, very adult sense of humor and story. But look at the cast. Ewan McGregor is the cricket, Kate Blanchett as a voice, Ron Perlman as Mangafungo, and Gregory Mann doing Pinocchio. This was interesting to me because he's really young. He had only done a couple of things, and I had seen him in this movie just a couple of nights ago, Guernsey, Literary Potato Peel Pile Society. I highly recommend this movie. It's crazy beautiful. So if you have, I think it was on Netflix, check this movie out, Guernsey. It's just like, it's crazy wonderful. But in that movie, he plays one of the young boys in the movie, and he was great. So he plays Pinocchio himself. And so it's like, whoa. And Tim Blake Nelson was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? John Turturro was in Where Brother Art Thou? It's like, this cast was great. Originally, he was gonna have, Guillermo had signed on Tom Waits to do Geppetto. But right now it's David Bradley. So the voice actors all look really great. Christopher Waltz is the fox. Tilda Swinton doing it's like, this is great. But remember, the concept stuff was just unbelievable. And it's not going to be for little kids. And for whatever it's worth, the Carlo Collodi, when he was writing this original stories and then combining them, it was meant to be didactic. It was meant to be like, kids, you need to learn how to behave, or this is going to happen to you. And according to Internet Movie Database, this is coming out this year. It has a 2021 release date on it. So we'll see. We'll see. This is the international nonverbal for we'll see. That's Disney back there. So yeah, pay attention to that. All right, then the other thing that I wanted to, and I always have trouble finding this, so just bear with me for a moment. So I'm going to go backwards just for a moment to the 2D animation part of it. And the name of the movie is I should have had this queued up. All right, so is this the movie? I don't know if this is the movie. So what this is a Amelia Lorenz had done her undergrad studies at CalArts. And at CalArts, they're in Valencia, California, as a student of animation, you make a movie every year you're there. So you're there for 4 years. And so in this time of the year, for your freshman year, you make a movie. And then sophomore, junior, senior year, you make a movie. This was her junior year film. So let me find this for you. And it's the wonderful thing about this, if I can find it, is that it wasn't even final ink and paint. It was just pencil lines done on watercolor background. This is your junior year film, and when I have to turn off record here because I'll get busted. So I'm going to turn off record. All right, so I'm imagining that all of your tests for today are in the final pencil test that's just labeled last week, 2 weeks ago. So I'm just going to bring those up. So Leo.
Yes.
Here we go. Leo, everybody, put your wet fat flippers together for Leo. Oh yeah, I realized this last night that my reactions are hidden here. All right, so this looks pretty good. I like the idea of cutting to this close up here. I think that you could even spend just even a little bit more time, like it was in slow motion. And remember too that the whole point of going to a close-up or in an ECU is that he's going to act. Your character has to do some acting for us. So what would improve this is if you kind of gave that little look a little bit more of a favor. And what is he looking at? Let him squint a little harder and then do a reaction, because then when he lands, he's got the arrow to catch. And so, yeah, I think that would just improve this, is just giving him a little bit more of a skeptical or a worried quality right there. Your overall timing looks good. Remember that I asked all of you to end on a black frame, because then it doesn't just sit right here. It doesn't stay right there. We appreciate the the overall timing, the pace. Yeah, I think that you would have just rather ended on a black frame rather than having him disappear. But it looks pretty good. Looks really good, Leo. Again, hands for Leo. Yay! All right, Elsa.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Show off. Everyone else is having a miserable day. You're just showing off.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. There you go. Was that in your film? Or is that someone in Zoom?
Oh, the noise. Oh yeah, my family is playing basketball outside.
Oh, okay. Because that was weird. It's like he caught the butterfly. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Okay, so this is wonderful. The overall sense of timing is just really good. And I like how you took what I gave you and kind of ran with it. The storybook idea here is really fun. It's really great. How many hours did you spend on this?
I'd say like since we last worked on it, like over 6.
Yeah. Well, it's really good. It's a 20-second story. And I think that it's working really well. You might want to change Ed to End.
It's funny because Ed is my initials, but also
Yes.
End is also my initials.
Oh, right. I think that well, I think that it would be fine. It's a little confusing, but it's good. It's good. Clap for everybody. I want claps, please.
Yay.
Yay. I think it's very sweet. One thing that you could do now that it's all done, before you put this on your website, is to go in there on any particular frame and add a drop shadow.
Oh, for the bear?
Yeah, so on a layer that's underneath them, just do like a little drop shadow.
Definitely.
And then give it like a 40 or 50% transparency. It'll just add to the whole storybook look to it.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I remember, yeah, I'll say this again at the end. Let me make a note here. Okay, thank you. Elsa? If that truly is your name. All right, Santiago, are you here? Santiago's not here. He has this final movie here, and yeah, for some reason he decided he was going to make this an asynchronous class, which I did not approve of, but let's take a look at what he's got. I don't think I've seen this. This is new to me. All right, so he's got the run and a throw, but he doesn't have the jump or the catch. It's kind of what we were looking at. I think that I would have preferred it if he realized that this robber, this villain, is carrying a sack that's very big. And in the world of film animation, things that are big can be confused with being heavy. if you don't play it right. So he just bends downwards here. His character just bends down. He actually kind of transforms it, which is like a bad thing to do. You never want to move both feet at the same time. It's very poor dynamics. But the idea is that he's going to want to throw the money this way. And so just for, if he gets to see this, and if you are listening here intently, if the action of throwing this sack is that way, that means the anticipation should be this way. Anticipations are always opposite of the main action. It could even be up and backwards just a little bit more. I think that would be a lot more realistic than just going down. I think that in one sense, if you wanted to be completely scientific about it, he could take this thing and swing it around so that it's like he's throwing it like a hammer in the Olympics. You know, that would be one way of handling the main anticipation. But I think that he's got, the jump missing. You know, the climb could count, but the whole idea of transferring the weight, it would have been much better for him to work on this, a more elaborate anticipation if he wasn't going to do the catch. All right, so that was my take on that. If he's not here, so clapping for him would not show up. So if you want, you can try. It'll show up in the little chat area over here. I'm not on there, so if I react, he's not there. Let me bring myself back up. So if I'll clap for him. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Damien. Santiago, sorry. All right, Zaylee. Zaylee. Okay, clap for Zaylee, everybody, please. Yay, one more time. Chopping, pacing is good. It's not too rushed. The catch, that's good. I think you could probably use a bit more of ease into this action. I think that if we pause this, I think you still got a little bit of the let's blast off from this sitting position like a rocket. Technically, she needs an anticipation. Technically, even though she's sitting, she would still want to get her head down and maybe even her arms up just to propel herself off the ground. Instead, you have her just like blasting off. And then I think you could use two drawings between this and this. You could use two drawings between those. And then even two drawings to get her off the stage. And then she's running here in place, so the camera's following her. But yeah, I think that a few more drawings, anticipation drawing, and a drawing between there and here, and another one between there and there, or two, and then maybe two drawings to get her off the stage, because I think she just blasts off the ground just a little too fast. Yeah, just a little too fast. And then before you put this on your website, on your reel, I think that you can definitely do that thing that we talked about last week with the point of view, right? Using her point of view of dad, and Dad's point of view on her and the little acting moment there. It's good. Thank you, Zaylee, everyone. Clap for Zaylee.
Thank you.
Yay. All right, Hannah Joy. Okay, I think you've got all of this completely under control. 14-second film. Timing is good here. The accelerating into it, the jump is good. The cut is good. That little climbing action is good. A little reaction. Yeah, that's all good. I think that what you want to do now is just take a break, right? You know, give yourself 2-4 days of just doing nothing with it, and then go back in and make sure that there's a continuity. So you pick whether you want everything to look like this or something new. You've got a couple of you just got a couple of different line styles working.
Now that it's all laid out, it should be easier because I was doing it in different sittings, different pen sizes, different colors.
Yeah.
I just picked one pen size, stuck to it, and did the whole thing again. And it probably all looked.
But this part, that's the easy part of this, because your motion is locked down, and I don't think you have to do anything with it. I think everything is working pretty well. Obviously, having it cleaned up was not a requirement for today. Today is more about the motion dynamics, right? So yeah, the timing is working all really well. Just make a final tie down pass on it and get it up on your website, get it up on your show reel. It's good, it's all good. All right, Hannah Joy, everybody, put your wet fat flippers together for Hannah Joy. Yay! Clicking on the wrong buttons here. All right, Brianna.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, about 8.8, I guess. All right, here we go. Yeah, I think this totally works. I think that you've got a really good sense of timing for everything. You open this up, she tries to catch the ball. It clandestinely slips out of her. She celebrates just a little too early, and then and then you cut to black. So right, yeah, I think the overall sense of timing is working really well. If I were to say anything, I would say that there's a couple of things that you might want to do here, and that is that imagine all the action going on the baseball diamond, the pitcher pitching, the batter hitting the ball, and I think all you need to do is kind of give a little head turn just before your character starts to move, and so increasing the timing of just everything just a little bit, because that technically ends up being your anticipation. The way you have it right now is that your anticipation is just mostly mechanical. So if you do like a little head turn right here, and then go into this, I think that it'll just kind of stitch everything together. It'll make everything a little bit more continuous in terms of us, the audience, understanding that it's a player on the baseball field who is trying to stop the home run from happening, but it doesn't happen. So yeah, it's all good. Thank you, Brianna. Hands for Brianna, please. Yay! All right, Ria.
Oh, this is the old file. You should reload it to have the new one.
All right, that look right?
Yeah.
Show off all that animated water. Nice. Yay. Yeah, your water's working. So we didn't know you were going to do that little, the effects on the river like that, the little creek like that. That's working really well.
Yeah, I thought it made sense because it would look weird otherwise if it wasn't moving.
How long did it take you to do the water?
I don't know, like an hour or two. Not
Oh, good for you. And you
long.
cycled it, right?
Yep, it's cycled.
Yep, just like did I show you how to do that, or did you figure it out?
I think so. Yeah, I still need to clean up the character, but
Yeah, but
That's what I'm working on.
the motion is all there. And I think that the other thing is that you could use a little bit of a little bit of redirection on the water, like I had mentioned last week.
yeah.
But yeah, the timing is it's all there. And for looking at this, you've got nice dark elements up front. Did you paint this in a rough animator?
No, I use my own drawing program.
Okay. And you're using atmospheric perspective so that as stuff gets further away from camera, it gets lighter. So that's why it's working. If you didn't understand why it's working, that's why it's working.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think you've got all the acting, all the timing, all the pacing. And he catches the fly too. So yeah, I think that the only thing that your first observer would want to know is that your hero does actually catch the fly.
Yeah.
So how many drawings or how many frames is the catching of the fly on screen for? That drawing right there.
Let's see. Want to say like 2 or 3.
Are you opening the project right now?
I'm looking at my project file right now.
It depends. Your answer depends on, or my recommendation depends on what you're.
5 frames is
How many?
what he's at.
How many?
Yeah, 5.
5. Okay. So what I would recommend then is to not hold it any longer. I think that 5 is an important number. It gets us to read it, but I think that the very next drawing, I think one drawing is missing. So that drawing is right there, but then there's one drawing between that frame and this one that needs to show, it's just like a direct in between.
Okay.
And put that on too. So that increases your movie by 2 frames.
Okay.
So the international nonverbal gesture for increasing your movie by 2 frames. And then it'll just get it to read, because at speed, it's just, even though that frame is 5 frames, it just doesn't read quite enough. 7 is almost a beat, and that's all you need.
Okay.
So yeah, just 2 more, that's just an in-between right there. And then a final pass, and we'll see you at the Academy Awards. All right, yeah, did we clap already? Yay! Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Good job, Rio. Timmy. All right, here you go, Timmy. Oh, nice. It's funny, we didn't see any of this over the last couple weeks, did we?
No, sorry.
No, that's okay. So a little bit of drama here. You've got the bird's eye view or an extremely tall adult side view. And there's something swinging. We don't know what it is, but that's okay. It just happens to be something that she cuts in half. So one thing that I would just recommend here is that, well, there's two things that you might want to do. And the first is that remember the directions: run, jump, catch, run, catch, jump, whatever that is, whatever order you want. So I think that if you had her catch the thing that she just cut in half, that would help qualify. And then the other thing is just a little nitpicky thing about, you've got the run, you got the anticipation, the jump, and then you've got this swishing thing here happening. So we only imagine that she pulls out a katana, right?
Yeah.
I think that you can afford, without being completely obvious about it, but I think that you can afford putting just the katana in there just for a few frames. And letting it go away. So if you are there, and then when she's, so if those little, what do you think that this is? Is it a grapefruit or
Yeah, it was like a melon or something.
watermelon or something like that? So I think the thing that would make this just a little more awesome is, so she cuts it in half. Let them linger up there. Let them linger just like they're spinning, like zoop, 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 and they're breaking the rules of physics, right? And then my suggestion would be is to get her to stand up. And as she stands up, the blade goes back into her sleeve, right? And then instead of these, the melon falling, she catches it, and catch one with her left and one with her right hand just a beat later. That would be my suggestion. And the reason for that, it helps qualify for the catching part of it, which you didn't technically do, but the animation is working pretty well. Let's take a look at the timing. No, I think that what you've got is actually working pretty well. You just don't have the catch part of it.
Yeah, I I thought I could substitute catch with the slicing, but if you
Well,
want the
I
catch
mean, you're
part,
okay. It's like, you're not going to be in trouble in terms of your grade because it's working really well. So yeah, did we do hands for Timmy, please? Hands for Timmy, yay. Good job.
thank you.
It's nice, this little, and the other thing about, maybe she only catches one, right? Maybe she only catches one in her left hand as she stands up, or right hand, because then with her left hand, she can wave to the camera. Something like that. Other than that, it looks really good. Thanks, Timmy.
Thank you.
All right, Damien. Damien is not here either, but there's a final, so let's take a look at it.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay, so I gave you notes from last week. Did you get a chance
That's-
to address?
That's the old one.
This is the old one. All right, how about this one? F2. That the one?
Yes.
All right. Oh, it killed him and it made him disappear.
That was a timing error.
No, it was just a holding error. You didn't hold him for the entire duration of the shot. So I think just a couple of things would help improve this. I don't really mind you working in silhouette, but I think that if you're going to do that, you might want to work completely in silhouette, so that you're actually doing it in black. It might work a little better. And as you're doing that, I think that it might make sense to kind of really define this form, instead of it just being like a chalk drawing. Is give it more of a thought out, more of a planned design. Because I think
Okay.
these arms are a little mushy right here, right? They're just a little too undefined. So get like a hand going in there and he's trying to catch it. And then I think you can work in complete silhouette, but I think that you might want to get the other hand over here and get this hand, something like this, so that it has more of a, hey, I have two hands kind of thing to it. I also think that if you're working like that, then you can go back in and paint everything black. I think that that would be fine. But I think that because you're working simply enough, that one of the things that might really help this, just in terms of performance, is that as he jumps and catches this, do a somersault. Do a somersault, and it might be more fun to have him land on his feet, right? And do a little squash and stretch as he recoils and go, hey, I caught it, right?
Okay.
I think those would help it just a little bit. All right, Damien, everybody, put your factors together for Damien. Yay! All right, this is Jeanette. Okay, good. I think your timing is working. The pacing is working. The dynamics are working. Anticipation, the jump, the catch. Yeah, I think you might just want to have him be happy. I can't think of the word. What word am I thinking of? Show off, react just a little bit right here at the very end.
Celebrate.
Rather than just having him hold it. It's like, yay. But yeah, I think that the timing is all there. I think that you could now go back and just do a tie down pass on it. Put that one little action there of him just celebrating just a little bit, even just with one hand, and then do a tie down pass on it. What do you got working for the two people in the stands? Oh, so one is happy, the other's sad, right?
Yep.
All right, so one thing that you may want to do here is, let me just annotate this for you. One thing that you may want to do before you put this up on your website is you've got a vanishing point that's like way over here, right? But then you've got another vanishing point that is, looks like it's about right here. And so if he's this tall and you go to the vanishing point, right? Whenever you want to find the size of any other character in perspective, if these two guys are right here, they should really only be this tall.
Okay.
So these guys are too big. They're monsters. They're so yeah, they're really big right here. I don't think that Rough Animator has the ability to scale up all of these drawings all at once, which would be an option. Because if these guys technically are, you know, this big or about this big, then by the rules of perspective, then this guy should be this tall. And that would be the other way to do it, is just increase the scale of him by the rules of perspective. Especially when he gets here. When he's back here, I think it's okay, but as he comes up into camera, I think he would grow in perspective just a little bit more. So give that a try before you put it on your website.
Okay.
All right, Jeanette, everybody, what person got for Jeanette? And again, that's without redrawing it. That's with just scaling up your drawings, which is an impossible thing to do in the world of 2D animation without going through the process of Xerox and measuring and doing a proportion guide. But yeah, I think that he needs to just be a little bigger. Other than that, it's great. Thank you, Jeanette. Yay! Randy.
Yep.
Straight out of the textbook. Run, catch, jump. Run, jump, catch. All right. So I think the timing is all there. The run looks okay. Let me check something though. Yeah, it just kind of caught my eye. So I'm going backwards right now. All right, so frame number one. This foot right here, his left foot's about, should be reaching out and touching the ground. There it goes. So I'm just gonna follow it. So it goes up and then all the way up and then back. And then, so yeah, there's something not quite right about this drawing to this drawing. Because what happens is it looks like you've got two drawings that are identical to each other, that are right next to each other. And in a run cycle, you always want the positions to be as much different as possible, so that you go from here to there to there to there again. See it?
Yeah.
So those two leg positions are just, even though you're flipping them, even though the technically one leg is going to the other position, as an animator, you always want to try to make those positions as different as possible so they don't stagger, so they don't stutter. Watch for those two leg positions. See it?
Yeah.
I think that just tweaking that a little bit, making one favoring of forwards or backwards position or something will help improve it. Other than that, I think that you want to go back in and do a tie down pass on it before you put it on your reel. I would say that instead of the truck getting smaller as it goes underneath him, I would just keep the truck one size and just copy and paste it so that it is moving across the stage, right? I think that it's far enough away from your vanishing point that you don't technically have to worry about having it, because your vanishing point is just 1 point perspective. You don't have to draw the truck so that it fits in a shoebox over here, and then and now it's in the front view, so the shoebox is like this, and then as it gets over here, the shoebox is like that. I mean, you can do that if you want, but I think that what you want to do is just think about this shoebox. He's going to jump over this Jeep. So get this Jeep so that we see the rear wheels and maybe a little bit more of the roof. Yes.
Yeah, no.
So that there's just more of a perspective. I'll just put the letter P right here. You don't have to do this, that it moves in perspective. It's just a little overkill, but you would want to copy and paste so it just moves across the stage rather than scaling, because that's catching my eye. The idea of the little truck, the little Jeep getting bigger and smaller and then bigger again, it's kind of ruining the effect of the moving camera, if you will.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for, but I think your idea sounds better.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Randy. Put your butt pepper together for Randy. Yay! Rachel. Yep. Celebration, time for celebration. Okay, so did you get to that recommendation I had for the ponytail? It doesn't look like you got to that.
I tried doing it, and maybe it was just the way I had done the ponytail before. It just looked kind of weird. I
Yeah.
think because when I had done the ponytail, I was kind of working off of how you taught it and just kind of intuitively. But I think
Yeah.
because I was doing it intuitively, it just got a little weird.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. My guess is that leave this animation alone for a little while, and in a couple weeks, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I just
Alright.
didn't want to mess with it because I thought it was working at least
It
pretty
is.
well.
So yeah, your timing is good, your cutting is good. The catch is good, the cheering is good, it's all good. Yeah, I think you got everything working really well. And it's ladies softball night here in Introduction to 2D Animation. And frogs that catch flies. Oh, put your hands together for Rachel, please. Yay! Moses. Moses.
Hello.
Moses. So you should be done with school this week too, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's done with school this week. All right, so yeah, that looks a little better. Thank you for responding to my notes from last week. Yeah, I think that you've handled this idea of a 2D camera move pretty well. And then the animated zoom at the end really well. Obviously, there are more efficient ways to do this, but you choose to do it by hand, which is crazy nutso. But I think that it's working. It's also just I'm aware of it now that we can kind of see your final presentation. Well, we don't know what he caught. What did he catch? Is it a volleyball? Is it a frisbee? I mean, he did jump over a what seems to be like a tennis court net.
It was just meant to be like a ball, and that was supposed to be like a pretty low fence.
Okay. Yeah, I think everything is working. One thing that you should just kind of keep in mind possibly is that you've got a nice model
Mhm.
here, you know, the proportion, the head, the body, the legs, and it kind of goes off model a little bit right there.
Mhm.
And you change it. So try to make this guy look more like that guy, right? Try to make that guy the same as that guy.
Okay.
And this is one of those times when my magic mouse works really well, right? Make that guy look exactly like that guy. Yeah, it's working really well. Thank you, Moses. Wet fat flippers together for Moses. Evelyn. Okay, crazy, beautiful. You didn't want her to like throw the baby on the ground or anything? Yes. Like football players celebrate when they've made a touchdown, right? Yes.
I think he should do that then.
No,
'Cause he caught
that
it.
would not be good. All right, so yeah, I think everything is working really well. You've got a little bit of a scratchy line style here that is
Yeah.
not technically wobbling around or animating out of the ordinary, but it does change a little bit when he starts to run. You know, you get just the straight gestures that you're working with here. So eventually you would want everything to look like this.
Yeah. With more time.
Yeah, but the production value is really good. Jumping over the fire hydrant and catching that damn baby, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
Stupid
and then
baby.
you finish with getting them back more on quote unquote on model. So one thing that that you might want to do just to improve your cinematic quality of this is to not have the fire plug dip down like that. You know, because technically what you're doing is your camera is zooming in on him just a little bit, and then it's zooming out. And I don't think you need to do that. I think you just need to take a fire plug and draw it and copy and paste it, just moving across the stage. Right?
Okay, so he just jumps over it.
Well, I know, but as these frames go down, or go by, your fire plug goes from having a few feet between the base of the fire plug and the camera to then going out of the camera and then coming back in. What I'm saying is that it would be better to just have the fire plug and then just drag it across the stage. And if it is a little too big right here, then just start it out being a little smaller. You know what I mean? It's a quick fix. It really is a quick fix. And then the other thing that I might like you to address is that when he catches the baby, right? This is okay to catch it on this frame, but the very next drawing should be down. The very next drawing should be taking the weight of the baby. So on this drawing right here, so up to the baby's feet, bring the baby's feet down to about here. And bring his arms down to feel the weight of the baby. You can keep his head move, his head could move down just a little bit, but let the baby, let the guy absorb the inertia of the baby, bringing it down and then bringing it back up again. That'll improve your dynamic, right? And obviously you don't have to do this for me, but do it for yourself. Do it for the craft of animation. Let me leave that right there. I'm just going to leave that right there and see if you can see that dynamic as he catches the baby. Right, ready? Go. Yeah, you can almost see it. Sorry about that. Okay. Otherwise, oops, hold on. What did I do here? Evelyn, everybody flip it together for Evelyn. Yay! Remote control. I don't want remote control. What did I do? All right. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Is there anything from any other week that I need to go over? Did anybody put anything in last week's folder or the week before that's folder? Late or missing right here? Did I go over all this? I just haven't graded any of that. No? Okay, good. So technically we can just go back off record. All right, so there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. We're basically done for today, but I wanted to end with a couple of notes for you. And the first note is that there are animators who look at the principles of animation and use them like they're a roll call or a playbook, a Bible of things to do when you're animating. And I think that that's fine. But there are also animators who work rather intuitively, and that they go through the entire shot and they'll put in all of the dynamics that they think are necessary, and they'll stop and then they'll go back and they'll look at it and go, oh, you know what, I want to improve the timing and the pacing right here. This is a good place to put a little squash or a little stretch. This is a good place to put in, like we talked about in day one, secondary action, which is terribly difficult to do. So try to work both ways. And then you can go back in, and in 2D animation, you can then go back in and refine things by putting in breakdown positions or breakdown positions and in-betweens. It's a good way to work. It keeps the flow working quickly. There's nothing as horrible about animation than trying to get through 7 or 8 seconds worth of animation and just doing it really slowly. You always want to try to work as fast as possible. That way you can look at it, you can evaluate it, you can look at it again, evaluate it, take a break, tweak something. It's really hard as an animator to understand where all the pieces are moving for every single frame for the entire shot. It's like the hardest thing to do is to concentrate on all of that. All right, and then remember too that you can fix that here in 2D. You can just go back in and put a little drawing, like Evelyn, I just said, to put the squash drawing in there. Let the guy really feel the weight of that baby falling. I don't think it needs to go all the way to the ground. That would be weird, but in 2D you can fix that. If it was stop motion, you'd have to shoot the whole shot again. You would have to shoot everything all again. So that's the advantage of working either 2D digital or on paper, but 2D digital is so much faster. All right, so just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind about keeping track of things and giving yourself a quick little break, and then going back and evaluating it, one of the things that becomes parallel or similar to what you might have learned in middle school or even elementary school art, high school art, is that if you've ever seen an artist do this, what are they doing? It's like the equivalent of, what is the artist doing when they put their thumb out like that? They're measuring. They're saying, well, in my mind's eye, that person that I'm looking at over there is exactly this tall. So that when I draw it on the paper, it's that tall. That's what the artist is doing. When the artist is going like this, what they're trying to do is to trick their eyes into seeing it differently. And the whole idea of seeing it differently is pretend that you didn't do it. If we're all looking at the animation that Zaley did, it's like, oh, I can see this needs an adjustment, or I can see that this is working perfectly, and then this just needs a little adjustment, whatever it is. If you see it for the first time and it's someone else's, you always have a fresh set of eyes. So one of the things that you want to train yourself to do is pretend it's not yours. And remember, that's like one of the hardest things to do. When I was at the Ohio State University, when professors were telling me that, it was like, what? It took me years to understand how to evaluate something that I did from the point of view that was not mine. It's like, it doesn't come easy, let alone thinking about those changes and then applying them. I think that for whatever you're doing, whatever venue of art, that makes your production just that much better. If you can get to that point, that helps a lot. Just making sure that your end goal is that you're trying to critique it like it's the first time you've ever seen it, and that it's not yours. You give it a try. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's not the easiest thing to do at all. All right, and then I have just like one final note, and that is that I don't think that anything matters more than you having fun with your animation. And you can trade that comment out for anything that you're doing in art. But if you're doing it right, then you should be having fun with it. And it goes backwards too. If you're having fun with it, then you're doing it right. And I think that I might have alluded to or mentioned this before, but there are similar parallel stories, parallel ways of evaluating all kinds of different things in dance and music and poetry, literature. If you're having fun with it, then you're doing it right. If you're doing it right, then you're definitely having fun with it. If you're struggling with it, you're probably doing it wrong. So figure out a way to have fun with it. So that's the whole trick, is to train yourself to have fun with it. And I don't think that for now, for our animation class, it's just anything more than me reminding you to carry that little nugget with you for the rest of your artistic career. If you're doing it right, you should be having fun with it. If you're doing it right, it should look easy. Think about Yo-Yo Ma playing the cello. He just makes it look so easy. Pick your favorite guitarist. Go back and look at Jimi Hendrix. He made playing the guitar look so easy. If you're doing it right, it should look easy. All right, that's a perfect end to note on. Does anyone have any final comments? Nobody? Nothing? Crickets? Radio silence?
If we still need to turn in any late work, when's the
Oh,
latest we
yes,
can-
thank you for reminding me. I am gonna go for like a 10-mile walk tomorrow. I have a meeting with the dean early in the morning, but after that, I'm gonna go power walking. And then I'm just gonna treat myself to a day off. And Friday, I have an academy class in special effects. And then I take a short break, and I will pull final files at somewhere around 4 o'clock on Friday. So if there's anything missing, or if you want any kind of adjustments, make sure you put them in a folder that I can see. And that folder would probably be the late or missing folder for our class. There's only a few things in there. I will look on Friday after I get done with the academy. I'll start looking about 2 o'clock, somewhere between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock on Friday. And that is only for a few of you because most of you are done. Congratulations, yay! This was just an introduction to 2D animation class. But remember that we spent a whole bunch of weeks talking about special effects, which we didn't do before. And Paul loves that idea. And because we were digital, we had a chance to really play a lot more with 5 or 6 more, 8 more projects than we did in any of the 2D on ground classes. It made everything faster. And it also pushed things up more into the intermediate level. So take it for what I can see, that this turned into more of an intermediate animation class. Just contact me through the school emails website, or school email if you need me, or the Yahoo is fastest. The school does have me doing some things over the summer, but it's going to be kind of light. So if you need me, use my Yahoo. Contact me through Yahoo. It's just the fastest way. And I'll have time. I don't start my program until the end of August. So I'll be able to entertain any kind of questions all the way up until the end of August. All right, everyone okay? Comments, complaints, conundrums, criticisms? Anything? Nothing?
It's been great.
That's it?
Been great, Billy.
Okay,
Thank
have
you
a
for
great
a
evening,
semester.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for a great intro to 2D animation class, everybody.
Thank you, Billy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. I do too.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay.